Yeah, not yet. We are live for another YEV podcast, part of Chargeheads, and today it's myself and Alex Grant. Myself being Tim Aylen, and we are YEV, the balanced podcast, talking about EVs, cars, and a few other things in between. And this week, I just wanted to have a bit of an informed, not rant, but kind of discussion about what's happening in the car space at the moment, around fuel pricing, around what's going to be happening in the near future around electricity price. And I don't know about people that have started to join so far, but how many posts people have seen, bonjour, commuter branch line, how many posts people have seen about, EV, petrol, diesel prices going up. Oh, EV driver, they're okay. But, and it started to kind of grate on me a little bit, because I don't think it's the most constructive thing. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be jokes. There's always going to be laughs, it's always the way. It's the British humor, of course. But I think some people are taking it a bit too seriously. And I think the fact that, yes, of course, war in Iran, very awful. Let's not get into that. But obviously oil prices have gone up. So that means petrol and diesel have gone up and many other things. And of course, very, very soon, the price cap for electricity will be ending in June, July time. So I think the people that are kind of pushing the fact that, oh yeah, you should just go and buy an EV, it's going to be much cheaper. And yes, okay, in some ways it will be less expensive, but just to absolutely, essentially take the piss out of petrol and diesel drivers, where you don't really, you don't know what their circumstances are, all the rest of it. I think it's a little bit unfair. So I thought, let's have a chat about it. But what's your thoughts?
I think there's a lot of kind of messaging around EVs where I think it becomes it's always that kind of let them eat cake kind of thing, isn't it? Where it's kind of, it's all well and good sort of talking about cheaper price, cheaper running costs for an EV, but it does very much depend on your circumstances. If you're dependent on public charging and you don't have anywhere to plug in at home, you've instantly got a bit of a price disadvantage there, which kind of affects the business case for having them. And also, home energy costs and other bits and if you've got somewhere at home and you can plug in off peak, and especially if you've got things like solar and battery storage at home, then you've got a bit of shielding from things like this. But it being sort of smug about about things like, oh, well, it's fine, I got an EV and I don't really care about fuel prices going up, seems to me to be a little bit short-sighted. Doesn't consider a number of things. Like, I mean, the fact is the vast majority of freight in the UK moves with diesel, and if you have a spike in diesel prices, you get a spike in logistics costs, and you get everything that comes into your house becomes more expensive all of a sudden, and that's a big problem. So I mean, the reality of it is, I mean, it's energy prices, the spike in energy prices tends to hit the poorest in society first, and when you're kind of a slightly more affluent, somebody driving a nearly new EV, with your solar panels on your roof and your off-street parking and stuff, it's a little bit insensitive to just kind of go, well, screw you then, I'm fine. Look, why doesn't everyone just drive an EV? It's not quite as simple as that.
No, absolutely. And for those, and I'm sure a lot of people know on this podcast, and everyone, many people that are listening as well, that electricity price is, very closely associated, and it's essentially dictated. It dictates the electric price. So, the knock-on effect of the gas price going up will, of course, be the electricity price going up, which is going to affect everyone, as Alex mentioned, in terms of logistics as well. And that does help increase inflation as well, which we've had a battering for recently. And I'd certainly could do with not having that again. I think there was advice, wasn't there, from the AA and the RAC saying, just drive less. I'm sure that was something that came out, which, I mean, I think I put up a couple of social media posts saying, what do people recommend to try and mitigate the cost increases? Yes, of course, drive efficiently, drive less. Yes, I suppose if you're driving an electric vehicle, the same is true as well. But, is it a question of just throwing up solar panels straight away and battery storage? I don't think there is a solution, really, is there? Like a short-term solution to be able to reduce it. Other than that, kind of simple, drive efficiently, is there?
No, and also there's an awful lot of houses that houses where they're rented, and you can't stick solar panels on the roof of a property that you don't own, and talk to your landlord around it. It's interesting to talk about this kind of fluctuating fuel prices. And fuel prices fluctuate very, very quickly, but there's a massive difference in terms of the way that energy prices are dealt with and fuel prices are dealt with. So energy prices were capped for 6 months; they're now capped for 3 since the Ukraine war. But if you look at so this is the latest kind of government data I can find. So the price of fuel per litre in 2011, I'm going to pull this up in the background. Fuel's surprisingly inflation proof. Consider the cost of everything over the last last few years. Cost of fuel through 2011. So if I go back to January 2011, it was about 125, 130p per litre. It went up to about 135p a litre through the first kind of quarter or so, and it stuck around the 130p mark for the rest of that year. That's not dissimilar to where we are now. Whereas if you look at the same data for average home energy prices, the average kind of flat rate per unit per kilowatt hour of electricity was 12p per kilowatt at that point. And if you look at that now, it's 28. I mean, that's a national average. No, 27. Sorry, that's a national average. So it's obviously it varies between regions and so on. But there is an inevitable shock. Ofgem, which is the government body that regulates energy prices, have put out an announcement this week, basically going, yeah, it's going to affect energy costs. Qatar is a massive producer of natural gas, which still produces. So natural gas still produces about a quarter or just over a quarter of the electricity we use in the UK. There's a massive amount of renewables going into the grid at the moment, and that increases all the time. But we're still very dependent on natural gas. And what happens is, just for those who don't know, the wholesale energy prices are set based on the last in. So if you're on low, on a period of very low demand, generally speaking, you can meet that with renewables and some static storage and other bits and pieces. If you get a rise in demand, so your peak hours of the day, you then start to lean on your oil and gas power stations, and they're much more expensive to run, and therefore you get the electricity price goes up and down through the day, which is why you get your off-peak tariffs and so on. But it's all set by the most expensive source of electricity, even though the people who are producing renewables, it's not costing them anywhere near that. I mean, we need a reform of that, I think, before we can start to feel really safe from the influence of global conflicts like this on electricity prices as well. But as you say, the next price cap then is coming in end of June. So if you're on a fixed rate tariff, you're on a fixed rate tariff for as long as that lasts. But if you're on one where it follows the price cap, which quite a lot of people in the UK are, you're likely to see a rise in your energy costs from June. So.
No, absolutely. And it's quite interesting. Lewis has just put in a little comment there, a couple of comments actually, just saying that apparently a third of UK oil use is in fuel, which is really interesting. It's an interesting stat that. It'd be interesting to know where that data came from. But yeah, I mean, from an energy cost point of view, it's not just the electricity. It's not just pricing the electricity cost. It's also, yes, it's the generating of the electricity. It's the network. It's also provider, and there's something like 10 or there's a certain percentage, I think it's about 10%, if not a bit more, that goes into future generation plans, which I know that the UK has spent quite a lot of time and money in because of the net zero policies they are following, which in a way, I know that there's quite a big debate about whether it's net zero good or bad, etc. Let's not get into that. However, ultimately, the amount of money that we're spending on the electrification of the UK, it's got to be seen as a positive thing, especially what's going on with the Middle East at the moment. Not saying that they're doing it in the right way, but yeah, you would think that actually we're probably in a slightly better position than we would be if we weren't putting our money and efforts in towards electrification. So yeah, it is a bit of a tricky one, isn't it?
The other thing that's worth remembering is that if you get a surge in energy prices, one of the reasons that the Ofgem cap was adjusted from 6 months down to 3 is so pre-Ukraine conflict, so end of 2021, there was a surge in wholesale gas prices, which basically meant a lot of companies had a capped rate they could charge consumers, but they were paying through the nose something like 8 times higher than the seasonal average through the summer of 2021. And then it took a long time for the price cap to catch up and to enable companies to charge consumers what they were paying. So a lot of companies went bust at the end of 2021. What happens with that is that then the price cap includes, as part of the standing charge, a fee that covers the cost of companies going bust. So there is also that comes into it as well. So you don't want a sudden surge in energy prices that the utility companies can't cope with, because basically if they start folding left, right, and centre, we end up picking up the bill for that as well, and that affects our costs too. It's not a good thing for so many reasons.
So Commute Branch Line has just put in, I'm lucky to have home and solar house batteries, but food and most goods will rise around us, so we're not out of the woods from rising prices. Home heating oil doubled from 2 pence per litre to £1.20 per litre. Not good. I've got a really good example of that, actually, because a friend of mine, he has oil. He's very good at foresight of certain things. He goes, yeah, Trump's going to be going in, like, the Middle East in the next weekend or what have you. And then it happens. I'm like, how does he know this? So he actually obviously shared this one because he's quite proud of this. That he filled up his oil tank the first week of January at a cost of 54 pence per litre. So roughly £540 for a full tank. And now they've checked literally the other day. That's 2 months later, and it's now £1.37. So it's now £1,370 for a full tank. So we're talking, what's that? 5, 8? Yeah, it's about £800 more than it would. Yeah, so more than double. That's crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy.
I had a window open. EU natural gas price has, so it was. I'm trying to get this right. So this is euros per megawatt hour wholesale natural gas price in the EU on the 27th of February was 30 euros and 66 cents per megawatt hour of natural gas. It surged up to 50 euros, so it almost doubled in the space of a week, 10 days. In the start of March, and it's currently still at 50, at the 50 mark. So that's an enormous rise, and that's not good for anyone. I mean, that you're impacting business running costs as well. So if the supermarkets that we buy our groceries from run their fridges on electricity that comes out of the grid, and they're charged business rates for those are not capped either. Those will fluctuate. So the operating cost of every business that you deal with goes up massively when you've got a surge in energy costs. So to sit there and kind of to do the ivory tower thinking and go, well, I'm plugging in on my night rate, and I'm using my batteries, and my EV is costing me bugger all to run. It's quite a short-sighted approach that forgets as well how much prices went up a few years ago.
Yeah, no, it's with energy costs. I mean, you're talking about transport and logistics. There's been so much positivity started this year around electrification of HGV. Electric vans have been tough, but I think they are starting to make some progress there. But electric HGVs, with all the technology in terms of the charging, megawatt charging, a lot of specific eHGV charging sites going in now, but it's only like 0.2, 0.5% of trucks that are electric. It's right at the beginning of the journey. But the sooner we can speed that up, the better. But it still doesn't detach from the fact that gas price is still associated with electric price, and I think that's because we're in this world market, aren't we, in terms of gas and electric. So I don't know what needs to happen for us to detach from there, but if we do still continue on this route of electrification with solar, wind, onshore and offshore, and other renewable energy sources, surely it would be a better idea to detach ourselves from gas. And funnily enough, I did actually send a message on X to our energy MP. What's his name? The crazy one. What's his name? The one that tried to be prime minister. Likes to
Ed Miliband.
Ed Miliband. I sent a message on X saying I didn't expect to get a reply. I hasten to add, but saying, is there any plan to detach from electric price from gas? Obviously, got nothing back, but surely that must be the focus and what they're going to be aiming for in the near future.
You'd hope for a more proportional thing where it would kind of even out across everything. I mean, the renewables there's a huge cost to putting them in, but when you've got those systems in there, the cost of energy from them is very, very cheap. Which is why, as I say, you get the lower overnight rates where demand on the grid's lower and you're using more of those renewable sources and you're producing it without having to rely on pipelines of gas from all over the place. It's but equally there's an argument, I guess, for making more natural gas in the UK and kind of separating ourselves from that, or getting, as I say, making more of it, like you just make it. But renewable natural gas.
Well, the Greg Jackson, the CEO of Octopus, was saying that the amount of billions of pounds that is being spent when we turn off these wind farms, that surely we need more batteries to store this energy. And that brings us nicely on to what's happening. Tesla coming into the energy market. Ofcom have agreed to let them into the British UK market, energy market. That is going to be really interesting. Is that going to maybe open the floodgates more for them bringing in more battery storage, potentially, as a bit of a sideline, because obviously they're going to be focused on the retail side. But let me just jump into the comments now. So Bevolution UK, I don't agree with poking fun at those impacted by increasing fuel prices, especially as we as EV owners are in a position of privilege, as EVs, wall boxes, solar batteries are not cheap. Lewis has just put, last time Pakistan couldn't afford LNG during Ukraine, China came calling, and they ended up buying 50 gigawatts of solar panels. I wonder how many they'll buy after this round of expense. Yeah, I mean, China's gone hell for leather on solar, haven't they? That's interesting, actually. I can't remember if it was Trump or somebody else saying, I'm not going to do the voice, but that apparently China don't have actually any wind turbines, or very, very few, but they've gone crazy.
No, it's bollocks. Frankly, no, they've got a lot. They've got masses and masses.
We'll have to check on AI. It must have been Trump if it's questionable then. Lewis, commuter branch line, emergency stocks of fuel are very low. Ed Miliband and the Green Lobby have taxed North Sea and gas to the brink of unprofitability. New exploration is not economically viable due to super high taxes. And Dean's just popped in. How you doing, Dean? We need zonal pricing. Greg Jackson is pushing it for lower electricity bills. It was turned down recently. Now, I don't know if I'm alone here, but with energy prices and the financial state of our country and of everyone, is it not a bad idea to actually maybe help out, dare I say it, trying to bring a little bit of our own fossil fuel rather than importing it from somewhere else? Did I just say
well, that's the kind of the Trump-esque thinking, isn't it? In terms of drill baby drill, is that you don't rely so much on bringing it in if you're getting it locally. Equally, there's a way of doing that, through other means, isn't it? I guess the argument then is that you should be doing that with renewables rather than trying to do it in any other way. Trying to do it with fossil, trying to kind of get fossil fuel industry going again properly in the UK. Well, it's future-proofing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's getting that balance. I think if we're going to be, I suppose the argument is, if we're financially ruining ourselves, maybe it is better to have a bit more balance coming into play. And getting all of it's LPG rather than actual gas itself. Getting it imported, because that's what we essentially use when we need something quick and easy. Turn on the gas and away you go with the generators, rather than counting on renewable energy. Lewis has just put, regarding of marginal pricing, renewables on a CFD only get paid their strike price. If the market price is 1 pence per kilowatt hour, they get to top up to 5p, if that's what it is, and if above, they back the diff. Commuter branch line, emergency stocks. Oh, we already done that, didn't we? Sorry. Done that one. Tesla had a tariff under Octopus umbrella for a while and then pulled it out. Yes, I do remember a friend of mine. He had Tesla Powerwall, and they used to do this power station thing. I think they're going to be bringing that back, and I think they do it in Texas at the moment. So they connect all the Tesla Powerwalls together, essentially, and help it to balance the grid in terms of peak energy demand, and then you get I think he was getting like 11 pence per kilowatt hour back solar, which is really, really strong. I think he's got about 3 Tesla Powerwalls now. And solar on the and back, and on his shed as well. I would love to go that route when I can afford it.
I'm just starting to get into the whole solar panels and battery storage debate. It's
Oh, that's interesting. Lewis has just popped in. Thanks for sharing this, Lewis. North Sea oil, North Sea costs 8 times the cost of production as the Middle East. We've had all the largest, easiest, most profitable fields are gone. Production has dropped since 2003 because we're dry. That's interesting. Okay, didn't know that. So grab some more coal. Go on, Alex, get down the mine. Tesla had a
That's
tariff.
what the kids are for.
I wonder where all the canaries have gone. Bevolution, I'm in the position to have home battery solar and drive Tesla because I work my ass off from the age of 13 to 55, mostly working 2 jobs. Everyone else is welcome to do the same. Well, I'm sure we'd all like solar and battery storage, but yeah, I mean, it's, got to work hard and earn the P's. But I mean, there's lots of incentives out there, have been. There's no VAT on, or very low VAT on solar panels at the moment. It's just the cost of scaffolding, isn't it? And the labor cost is unreal. I think I got a quote recently for battery storage and solar. It's still sort of 10 odd grand. You put that
at least. I've had a couple more around the 15 mark with a 10 kilowatt hour battery. 10 kilowatt hours of batteries, used 2 5s, but yeah.
How many panels?
Sorry?
How many panels is that?
That was the top one I've had was 14. They're all quoting different things. They're all talking between 10 and 14. Everyone seems to think I want something slightly different. It's getting quite hard to get comparable quotes out of everyone. I'm quite keen to do it. I fancy the idea of being able to be off grid, but again, it is a big cost. There are some schemes in place for low income households, but a lot of them are kind of locally based, and then there's not sort of a national scheme as far as I'm aware that's doing it, and they all seem to come and go, and it's a tricky thing to kind of get into, and if you've got if you live in a flat or you're in rental rental property, then you're stuffed basically in terms of being able to do it. So
and obviously the regulations have been changing quite a bit for solar and batteries. So now you shouldn't have batteries in your loft from a fire point of view. And ultimately, I would be recommending LFP batteries instead of NMC batteries, but from a longevity, number of cycles, exactly the same as electric, cars. But, I mean, I know we've spoken about it before, but Avidas and a few other people can actually connect car batteries to your house electrics. So, like 22 kilowatt hour battery off a BMW i3, which you can get from like £500 to £1,000. Get that fitted for X amount, however much they're going to be charging you. I mean, it's such good value. But what is the price of electricity going to be for cheap rate once the prices go up? Is it going to be 7? It's obviously not going to be 7 anymore. It's going to be 10. Be interesting.
That's on here. So I'd be interested going back to have a look on this on the. Where's the data on this one? Sorry, I'm just trying to find the average variable night rate. Prepayment, direct debit. So I'm scanning through a spreadsheet and the text on it is absolutely tiny. I don't think these are right. Average variable night rate, this is way off. No, ignore that. That's not that's not really giving me what I want. This is putting the night rates up in about 17p per kilowatt hour, and they're nowhere near that. That's like more than twice what I'm paying. And even that, if I look at that in terms of being in South Wales, 18p. No, that's not right.
So Jordan, the EV guy, how you doing, Jordan? He's put Ed Miliband has just explained on BBS. That BBC, but with S instead. That we have drained 75% of North Sea since the millennium. The price of gas is set on international market. We are price takers, not price makers. Yeah, but if we've got our own energy and we've got access to gas, surely there's a way that we can do it. Where there's a will, there's a way, right? You don't have to abide by that's probably why we are in that situation, because we do have to. but lots of people are not doing things they have to at the moment, aren't they? I would say Bevolution, a place of privilege doesn't mean, let's not get into that. Ed Miliband has just explained on the BBC that the price of gas is set on the international market. We are the price takers, but price makers. New Octopus Intelligent is 8 pence off peak, 33 pence peak. That's interesting. So that's already started to go up. I mean, a penny per kilowatt hour is not going to exactly break the bank, is it?
No.
It's not like a huge difference. So arguably, yeah, okay, the price of electricity is going to go up. But it's not, like we mentioned before, like Alex went into a bit more detail about, is the fact that, yes, okay, it's not just about your own transport, it's everything else that's going to be going up around you, including your, gas bill if you've got gas home. Jordan's put in there, more renewables is the only way to get off fossil fuel roller coaster. Long term, we benefit. It's batteries. We need more batteries. The main thing with solar battery, sorry, this is from Mark Cornwall. The main thing with solar battery installs is to be sure you're going to stay put. Absolutely. Selling with an existing install won't cover all the upfront cost in most cases. It's generally speaking, it's about 5 to 8 years, isn't it? At least the payback from what I've seen. Mike Aylen, how are we doing, Dad? Coal liquefaction can produce liquid hydrocarbons, so fuel oil. Increased pollution may be the cost. Indeed. So Dean, thanks for jumping in again. Solar panels are £80 each. Inverter is less than 1,000. 16 kilowatt hour Fogstar battery is 1,800 quid. Scaffolding less than 1,000. A typical install with 10 panels shouldn't cost more than 8k, if you ask me. Right, Dean, if you could bring the scaffolding over next weekend, let's get cracking.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm on board with that as well.
Yeah. Funnily enough, my next door neighbour, a couple of doors down, is a roofer, so maybe I should talk nicely to him and get the battery. I'm sure a car battery connected to your home electricity is probably a little bit dodgy, isn't it? It's probably more than frowned upon, I would say, but one of them, isn't it? Cheap solar is like a gateway drug. Once you start, you want more and more. My G99 application allowed me 12 kilowatts of input, but I now have 42 panels and I'm scheming more.
Wow,
20 kilowatts of batteries isn't enough. Yeah. All depends on your consumption, really. I'd argue that my friend with his 3 Tesla Powerwalls, probably it's just because he just likes running just on the batteries, which is great. But I suppose, you not just look at, it's got to be focused on cost. I mean, it's nice to be able to have enough money to be relying solely on renewable energy, of your own renewable energy, and not have to worry about, cost of prices of electricity and gas through no, control of your own. But it just comes down to cost for most people, doesn't it? Hi from the US. Sorry about the fuel prices, everyone. It's not your fault. Ultimately, it's Iran's fault. Let's be honest. But we could argue that to the cows come home.
I was going to say that's a can of worms. That's a can of worms.
Octopus Intelligent go increasing from 70p to 8p doesn't sound like much, but it's a 14% increase. You've absolutely.
That's it. When it's super cheap. But yeah,
it's not the end of the world, is it? So from a constructive point of view, obviously I went down the route of with the thumbnail and the title of, a lot of people, bashing ICE drivers for because, obviously fuel prices going up, etc. Not exactly fair. Come on, let's be constructive. Look, what you could be saving. I was just about to go into Mr. Customer there, like I was. Mr. Customer. But yeah, I mean, it's quite an obvious thing that there are some massive savings to be made. And anybody with a driveway who's got half a decent bit of potential finance-worthy credit can save money and can get it paid back very, very quickly. And if you're worried about buying a new car, yes, of course, you can get, I'm just going to throw it out there, BY Dolphin Surf for $250 a month, $250 in, cheap as chips. I see loads around now, loads on driveways. It's clearly a good deal for people. I'm not saying it's a great car. It was just one that came off the top of my head. And I did actually do a review of it, funnily enough, on the Chargeheads channel, so go and check it out. But yeah, I mean, there are some cracking deals out there, but used wise, there's some amazing deals out there between 5 and 10k, which you could use as a primary car. You've got, and I'm going to use them as the same car, and I think Alex agrees with these choices as well. Hyundai Kona and Kia e-Niro, they're practically the same car. The e-Niro's bigger. The Kona's probably a bit better looking. You can get one of those for $8,000 now, and they've got great range, 250 miles all day long. They're efficient, reliable, and they're nice inside, and they're practical. Or you could get an MG5 if you don't worried about the Chinese quality inside. For like $6,500, you get 61 kilowatt hour, 200-mile range estate.
Yeah.
Or for $10,000, you get the same Tesla that I've got with 140,000 miles, 69 plate. You get to hear about the what my battery health is this week in my video coming out Wednesday. But yeah, there's still some great cars out there. $10,000, what's that? £200 a month on a 5-year HP deal, and you own it.
Yeah, I was looking at MG5 long range, and it was coming up for about 180 a month on there. So I mean, it was that's not. I mean, that is still that depending on your circumstances, that can still be a good chunk of change. We need to get to the point where, and we'll get there, where you can buy a kind of a banger type EV, with a reasonable amount of range still left in it. But we're not quite there yet with that, as we've said. I think we've said multiple times on this that there's still a little way to go on that front.
So, Dean, you said mine cost 10k back in 2022. Does he mean a Kona or a e-Niro or something? Maybe it was just solar. Maybe it's solar. Dean, let us know.
Yes, it would be. Yeah.
What is car or is solar and stuff?
The solar, that'll be solar. Been great. 6 to 8 years payback, covers 1.25 times my electric home usage, excluding EV charge. Yeah, so that must be a 10 kilowatt hour, I would assume. I've calculated it roughly on mine, and I need a 10 kilowatt hour pack to go off grid basically. So
Lewis thinks that we absolutely should mock rich people with driveways and a workplace salary sacrifice scheme. Yeah. I mean, there's a good argument with that. You could argue that there's some people that wouldn't. I mean, it's comparable vehicles, isn't it? If you're that rich, probably don't care that you could save money. So, and they just want to drive around in probably an unreliable Range Rover or a slow Lamborghini.
The Urus.
Because they are slow, let's be honest, compared to most electric cars now, or and like to be at the dealership regularly in their Land Rover. So maybe that is maybe we should be very specific when mocking this. Just so you know, the ones that we're mocking is X, Y, Z. But yeah, still,
I guess the big change on that. I mean, obviously the restriction with SALSAC for those not familiar is that you pay for it out of your gross salary, so pre-tax. But you can't. The payments on it can't take you under your remaining salary under the national minimum wage. So this is where cars like like EC3, Vauxhall Frontera, Renault 5, and Renault 4, and other cheaper EVs, and the BYD come into that, and you get those on those schemes, and suddenly you've got a vehicle where it becomes a much more affordable option for people to get. But you still have to be able to afford to pay the monthly finance cost on that.
I mean, arguably, it is. You would think it wouldn't be the best time to buy an electric vehicle because of what's going on in the world, and you'd think that retailers might take advantage. And I don't know if they are. I mean, please tell me in the comments if they are. If people are starting to keep their prices up, if they're not discounting electric vehicles quite as much. But you could argue it's probably the best time to get an electric vehicle if you can get charging. You've got the government grants. You've got deals like lease deals where you get free charges. There's also, you've got if you haven't got a driveway, there's government grants for gully charging and such like. So there's so many incentives at the moment. It probably is the best time to buy an electric vehicle. So yeah, there is obviously things that are stopping people, and arguably, yeah, taking the piss out of people for expensive petrol diesel prices could be one of those things. But it could be an incentive as well, arguably. So Bev Evolution UK has just put in, what are your thoughts? What are your views on the best? It's Rob, isn't it? Rob has said, what are your views on the best time to get battery solar? Keep hearing how solar in particular is getting better all the time and hasn't peaked yet.
I
Probably not one
still,
of the rails.
I think I'd just get on and do it. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, I know that whatever technology I fit for all of these things is going to be better a few years down the line. Everything you get, whether it's your home electronics or whatever, is all going to go out of date. I just think if it can offer you a benefit now, does it really matter if a system a few years down the line is even better?
I, I
When
would
you,
I would say it depends on, like one of the comments said earlier, Alex, that if it all depends whether you're staying in your house. If it's your
mm,
forever home, you're going to be staying in there for over a decade. Then yes, I think it is probably a good time, but just get an
mm,
LFP battery.
mm.
A
They're
decent
mostly
one.
LFP anyway, aren't they? In fact,
I wouldn't say so.
okay.
No.
I've been looking at them. The ones I've been quoted for have all been LFP batteries, so and they haven't been significantly cheaper anyway. It's interesting seeing it. So
I would say it's a good time, especially with the VAT situation on the solar panels. But then again, technology, I don't think this technology from what I hear, the technology on solar panels isn't getting much better. So it's
yeah, it's the
only,
rate of improvements you've got to worry about, isn't it? If you
yeah,
want an exponential range of improvements in your yield, then yeah, if you're seeing that, then you've got to worry about it. But I think we're probably beyond that.
it's only batteries that you've got to worry about in terms of the technology going on with that. What I'm waiting for is the heat pump. I can't have because we haven't got space for a cylinder. Because we got rid of it. We've got I want to call it a hybrid boiler. It's not one of those. It's oh, goodness me, it's definitely cylinder.
Combi.
Combi, yeah, thank you. Combi boiler, but apparently I think I saw it on Fully Charged or Everything Electric that they're doing a combi boiler version with batteries soon. That's really going to be interesting when that comes out from a technology point of view. I'll have to dig out the link and I'll share it on my socials because that looked really interesting. But it's only just happening. So as that comes through, the fact that you can, rather than having a heat pump, which costs a lot of money, having something that could just replace your boiler, and then the batteries are warming up the water. Don't quite understand the technology, but it's all
No, I was
detailed.
going to say that's I've not heard of that.
Commuter Branch Line is into fence-mounted panels. I'm into this because all my fences pretty much need replacing. I'm scooping fence-mounted panels and building a parallel off-grid system so I can fit as many as I like. Our house is 100% electric, heat pump, 3 EVs, cars, soon to be 4 EVs, depending on insurance. Why have you got so many electric cars? Maybe I'm just mean. Yeah, maybe that could be the case, Lewis. That's for his comment earlier about taking the piss out of rich people that got driveway, etc. Dean has put in, the government is giving out such mixed messages. Want people to switch to EV, but put up VED to 3 pence a mile. Obviously, that's not coming until 2028. Then give out a £3,750 EV grant on new cars. Then tax old electric vans £365 for tax. You're absolutely right, Dean. It's very mixed. We've got to keep on our toes, and we do cover all this stuff if people haven't been on the podcast before. Then diesel Citroen Berlingo vans are driving around on £30 value VED. It's crazy. It is very crazy. The cheapest batteries are Fogstar. However, I'm looking at Sigan Store DC bidirectional charger, which would allow the use of bidirectional vehicle to power my home. Kia, Hyundai might do well. Yes, I mean the thing is, okay, solar, I don't think that's really going to change. So maybe get the solar and then think a bit harder about the battery. But then we've got vehicle to grid chargers coming in. Indra, I think they do one. There's another company that's doing them. I think it's about £4,000 though. They're not cheap yet. So as these things come down in price, I'm sure they'll be becoming more commonplace. John's put in, it's funny how we have to be balanced, but also take all the abuse and lies constantly. If they constantly dish it out, they should be prepared to take it when it's their turn. Sodom. Well, that's a bit tit for tat, isn't it?
The worry is you end up with an argument where you end up with very polarized views rather than trying to meet in the middle and sort of if you've got any holes in the argument anywhere, and it gets over confrontational, you can end up with people switching off if they're not ready to switch, or they're kind of, there's a hearts and minds thing to win. And I don't think kind of the over gloating side of things with the I've got an EV, therefore I don't have to worry about the fuel prices thing, doesn't help. We need to be meeting in the middle of this and kind of getting people to buy in rather than just exchanging blows. And I think there is a case for being the bigger person in all of this.
No, absolutely. And this is what, as people will know, we do try and stick in the middle. And I think the algorithms do favor the extremes with everything from a content point of view. And I think it's always good to have that kind of middle ground to look at both sides of the story and have that, conversation. And we do get the odd EV hater in here, jumps in, has a massive moan and shouts and throws his toys out the pram, and then we talk to that person, we explain what we're all about, and try to get him to see the other side of things, so to speak. And it's like, oh, didn't actually expect that. And it's it's bringing people on board and taking everyone in the same direction, really, which is ultimately what we want, because electrification is good for everyone. And yes, okay, yeah, we can have petrol fun cars and all the rest. Of course we can. And I think it's just scaring people. I think that's what I think people are scared, that that people that are into electric vehicles and maybe pushing that message are like, we're going to be taking those cars away, you're never going to be able to drive them, kind of message, which isn't actually the case at all. But actually showing people the positives around electric and that they can be fun. And that's,
it becomes harder, I think, to talk up the benefits of going EV if you're getting combative with it, and you just end up with people switching off. That's the risk that you run with it. You can end up kind of preaching to the choir on both sides, obviously. I think it's way too heated, and I don't understand why it is so heated. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. They're both part of the same ecosystem, aren't they? Regardless of what's under the bonnet. I don't understand the tribalism at all, but there we go.
And this is what's always been my journey with Chargeheads, trying to create an exciting electric car. It's taken a long time, as everyone knows, and there's an update in a couple of weeks, which is a really interesting one. I can't wait to share with people, so please check that out. It's not this Wednesday, next Wednesday, TVR update. It's going to be good fun. And to try and create that electric vehicle with a soul. And I've seen some really interesting posts recently. I think, Jordan, you might have been putting them out there, and a few other people, has your petrol driven chainsaw got soul, and your lawnmower got soul because it's quite a nice engine. It's a good point. But Alex, what makes your Polo G40 have soul, or does it have soul?
Memories. I think it's the case with any car. Some cars have soul out of the box. Most cars, I think, to be honest, inherit it through what you do with them. The places that you go, the people that you see, the memories you make with those vehicles are what I think gives them the soul, and that's completely independent of what's under the bonnet. Yeah, I know some cars are exciting out of the box, but soul, I don't know. It's a personal thing, isn't it? It's a human thing.
I think I've added soul to Rusty, my Tesla Model 3, recently, because I added a vanilla magic tree, and it reminded me of my old petrol car.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. The smell of that.
Honestly, yeah, that is a proper 90s smell. There were other smells in the car as well.
Poppy coral.
We won't talk about it. Poppy coral, yeah, classic. What was the my dad always used to have in his beaten up Datsun or Fiat? You can contest this, Dad, because I think you might be listening. What's the air freshener where it was a black rectangle with like a
with the traffic lights?
Yeah, that's it. What were they? That's proper 80s. What was that one?
Yeah, it didn't really have those, but yes, I remember that.
Who remembers what air fresheners they were? Whack it in the comments, because I can't remember what it was, but I can't even remember the smell, but I'm sure it'd take me back. Right, so we've got quite a few comments in here. Heat Geek Micro Store fits in a cupboard. Is that the battery thing that we were talking about earlier, Lewis? Revolution, how about if you won't financially benefit for 10 years? Our electric usage is out of control, £500 a month. Wow. Yeah. What have you got running? Dean's put in Alpha E-Tech hybrid boilers. You are thinking about it supplements the combi boiler. There we go. Alpha E-Tech. I wonder how they're getting on, because that was a while ago when that video was released. Dean's popped in. The government are realizing the limitations of heat pump installations. That's why they are supporting air-to-air heat pumps, air cons that can give out 3 times the heat for 1 unit of electric. There we go. Yeah, that sounds more sensible. It also gets incredibly personal, trolling profiles, etc. Yeah, well, it's best not to get into that. Up to £2,500 grant for air-to-air, apparently. Really, that is really interesting. Is it just the aircon unit outside? I think it is, isn't it? Rather than having to worry about, a mass, cylinders and stuff like that. That would, you would need it for the water, don't you? So I was thinking about that. Commuter branch line. I have wife and 4 kids, so need more than one EV. Looking for another Nero, Kona, Ionic to do the donkey work cheaply, and maybe an i3 to geek out on technology. Far ahead of its time. Absolutely. What was it? What was the i3 similar to? There's another car that's similar to the
i8. The i8. I saw one of those the other day. Or do you think?
Go on.
No, it's just I saw an i8 the other day on the road, and I was like, I haven't seen one of these for ages. They still look like the future, those things.
I saw an i8 which still had its hybrid technology, but instead of the petrol BMW engine, it had a rotary turbo engine in it.
Oh,
I would love to buy that. That would be awesome. But I think there was another one. There was another i8 where they've removed everything and they put some sort of M50 engine in or something.
Yeah, there is. They were playing around with the exhaust system on it, and it had it's got a proper speaker in it, and they were playing music out of the exhaust.
Talking of EV haters and trolls, I love it when people say, make a Tesla better, put a V8 in it. And then they always put a picture of Rich Rebuild's, brown Model S with a V8 in it, which everyone knows just made it, excuse my French, shit. I mean, it's good, it's good for for a bit of fun, but obviously made that car just shit.
Yeah, but that's stuff that's kind of to get clicks and to get attention and to be talked about, isn't it? So,
yeah. And I do love his channel, by the way.
Yeah, it's not a dig. It's just that wasn't built to kind of improve the car. It was built to as a talking point, wasn't it?
No, exactly. Oh, hey Doug, how we doing? 11 Energy are offering sodium storage batteries in the UK. Wow, probably worth a look. Good evening from Zambia. There we got someone from Zambia. Good to hear from you, Doug. Jordan's just put in the people are. That's the EV guy, Jordan. The people that are ready or prepared to switch approach me with a very different energy. Matching them with education and balance is great, but the liars need to be called out, in my opinion. Balance won't help.
I think there's a bit of that on both sides, and I definitely think I agree with the liars being called out side of things. But there is definitely some twisting of truth that happens the other way around as well. Some sort of selective facts and other bits and pieces that I've seen. It doesn't help because as soon as you can pick holes in any of the facts, as soon as you can pick holes in any of the narrative that comes out the other side, you start to end up looking like you're lying. And I think it's a shame that it's become so heated, really.
Yeah, no, I see what you're coming from there. One argument would be just to ignore them, but then they're in their own echo chamber and they don't get potentially attacked with a different message. Let's call it that. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, in a way. But I suppose, it's a tricky one, isn't it? It is a tricky one. But this is why, again, just going into Chargeheads was to try and bring more people on board. And if people don't like it, they don't like it. It's fine. But trying to inject that bit more excitement into electric vehicles, whether it's modifications, which isn't for everyone. Neon lights on the Tesla will be a good example of that, and also electrifying a TVR, which is heinous to many people, but that's is what it is. But acknowledgement. So PWE has just put in, but acknowledgement where those views come from. Example: No Name article says EVs burn. NFPA says it's rare, but no need to be rude. Mark Cornwell, solar without battery and working beyond the house means it just gets exported to the grid. Battery means you get to make proper savings. Using all your solar is also known as selfish solar. That's a good point. Yeah, selfish solar. It's like, what's it? Cup of selfish. When my missus only makes a cup of tea for herself. Bevolution, it's interesting how ICE drivers in person, when chatting to EV owners, for example, when charging publicly, are very different. Curious, interested, surprised, and overall friendly and polite. I always find that when I go to car meets with people that don't like electric vehicles, they don't tend to be quite as vocal as they probably are online. But it's the internet for you, isn't it? It's like when you're behind the wheel and someone cuts you up, you're straight some people, straight on the horn. You know, it's that what do they call it? The windscreen effect, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. I mean, equally, I mean, most of the people I know who are really into cars get it. They understand the pros and cons of both. It's, you know, it's a very vocal minority, isn't it? A lot of people are quite open to both. Sort of understand the reasoning behind the need to switch, and kind of understand the benefits of both sides of the argument. It's just there's a closed-minded, very vocal minority, isn't there?
So Jordan, the EV guys, just put soul isn't a physical thing; it's an emotion from a driver, i.e., memories. As Alex says, EVs have no soul is just another lame excuse. I think soul's just the wrong word. I think theatre is quite a good word. So, you know, do electric vehicles have that theatre? I would argue that they probably don't. You know, I don't get into my Tesla and think, do you know what, I'm really gonna. It's not like the TVR Griffith I had. You know, I'm just gonna take that for a drive. You know, revving it through the rev range and like hearing it. It's the theatre. It's that experience. And
there's quite a lot. Yeah.
I
There's
don't
quite
think
a lot of cars that are coming on that are having that now, aren't they?
Well,
EV wise.
And like when I started Chargeheads, arguably, this is what I wanted. I wanted that theatre. And people are like, well, why are you spending stupid amounts of money on a broken TVR when you could just buy a Tesla Model 3 Performance? It's like, well, Tesla Model 3 Performance hasn't got that theatre. And I know it hasn't got that theatre because I've got one now. But, and I might not be able to create that theatre with the Tesla powered TVR. But my God, I'm going to have a bloody good try at doing it, you know, making that electric Widowmaker. So that is the plan. That has always been the plan. But okay, maybe we should rattle off some electric vehicles with theatre. So are we gonna say the Alpine, perhaps?
Alpine, absolutely. A290 is definitely full of theatre. But so is the 5. The 5's got its own sense of presence, hasn't it? And I mean, the obvious one then it becomes the Ioniq 5N. Definitely, it's an easy win, isn't it, on that front? I mean, I think the Renault 4's got a bit of soul to it. Do you know, the interesting thing is, I mean, I've been driving.
Wait, not the Kia Soul.
The Kia Soul's got soul.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah, it has. I like the Kia Soul.
Okay. So I don't personally think that my Tesla Model 3 with neon lights and triple exhaust sound system gives it soul either, or theatre. Just lots of loud noises and flashing lights, really. But it's a bit of fun, if anything else. Cyberster. Well, I haven't driven it, mate. You've driven like more electric cars than I've had hot dinners. What's the Cyberster like?
It drives really well. I would say it could do with a little bit more of the theatre, just to kind of make you feel that little bit more engaged with it. It drives really well. There's nothing really wrong with it in terms of the driving experience, other than it would be nice if it had the kind of the paddles to go up and down through the regen levels and other bits and pieces like that in it. But yeah, I'd say the Cyberster's got soul. I think that's kind of one that people will cherish at some point.
I'm on a new focus now of getting my dad to change his second ID3 to an Alpine 290. He says that the boot's not big enough for his golf clubs, but you can fold the seats down, can you not?
Yep.
There we go. Case closed.
We'll get a roof box. Yeah, because that's a really easy thing to be putting on every time you want to go and play golf. But yeah.
He doesn't range. He lives opposite a golf course, for goodness sake. Dean's put in, I love the Nissan advert from years ago showing everyday electric items with batteries being run by a petrol engine.
Wasn't that Renault? I think that was Renault, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I feeling that might have been Renault, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a great example. It's like, oh yeah, a petrol engine for my washing machine and my dishwasher and my tumble dryer.
There's the chip and pin machine. A guy comes over to take the payment for the meal, and he's got to put a little jerry can that he pours into the chip and pin machine. That's clever.
Jimmy G19770 UK. I think that's an R32 GTST.
It does look like it, yeah.
Something orange. Well, I don't know what you mean by that, mate. Pop it in. Good to hear from you. Ayden P word. Hybrid have no soul, can be fixed by leaving a soul in the boot for 3 months. Pass. I don't know what that means. Lewis Standing, it's a small water tank that takes 50 litres and fits in a small cupboard. It's pink too. That's interesting. Bevolution, thanks. That was me with the chainsaw generator soul post. Oh, it was yourself. It's an interesting one. Also, we spend millions on NVH, which we wouldn't do if we wanted to preserve soul. For ASHP, hang on, orange. Oh, sorry, the scent. Fur orange, classic scent, came from from a brass needle. I'd love to smell that. That would probably bring back a lot of memories. Also, the blue Fiat or Datsun my dad had with orange interior. Oh, beautiful. PWNE, the 80s for you. Jordan, I have to admit, flat sixes, V8s, and F1 V12s, they all sound amazing compared to what's replacing them. Lovely sounds for hobby cars. Absolutely. i8 is hybrid. Agree on the looks. Popular air fresheners. Used a vanilla one in your car. My Datsun 120Y.
Oh, cool.
That was a cool car. Cool. I think you got it for free or like 200 quid or something. Yeah, I think it was. There was a hole in the bottom of it after a little while. Typical Datsun. i3 to MX-30, suicide doors. I'd love an i3, to be honest.
Yeah, i3 I'd say it's got soul. That's a cool car.
I was looking for cheap electric vehicles between, I say cheap, electric vehicles between 5 and 10 grand. And I saw a Mazda MX-30 with 106,000 miles on it. And I was thinking,
wow, patient owner.
Yeah, that's a lot of charging. Yeah, I mean, it was still like 7 grand, like, which is crazy because the range on that thing is rubbish. But I wouldn't recommend this car, but I thought it was quite an interesting price. A Skoda Enyaq, 80 kilowatt hour battery, had about 100 and I'll tell you now, 130,000 miles on it, and it was 9 grand. Loft, Skoda Enyaq. It's interesting. So yeah, I wouldn't be against buying a high mileage electric vehicle if it was Korean, Tesla or BMW, but yeah, I'll be a bit skeptical around anything Stellantis, Fiat, Vauxhall, Renault. Well, Renault, I'm not sure about Renault. The jury's still out with them. What's everyone's thoughts on Renault reliability other than Renault Zoes? Has anyone had experience with the other Renault products electric and their reliability?
Well, the newer stuff, not the 5, but the 5 is, but the with the different stuff, because the Megane is the same platform and the Scenic are the same platform as the Aria, aren't they? So they're part of their Renault Nissan stuff. And those they're not like a European Nissan thing, they're a Japanese Nissan thing. All right, it'd probably be all right. Yeah, I really like the Megane. I know I've mentioned that a few times on here, but I really, really like the Megane.
Well, we've got a few comments to get through. So commuter branch lines, but I'm a fan of JDM cars. Snap. V8 Rovers, VW Polos, and B class rally cars. You got the Polos in there, obviously blowing smoke for Alex there. I did have my day out with GR Yaris. It was glorious, and with Litchfield mods, ear and spine crushing. It sounded like a symphony. Oh, that sounds good. A bit like the LFA Lexus. I always fancy one of them drive. It is possible to use EV batteries for home storage, but not straightforward. Check out Battery Man. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I saw him. Thanks, David, for sharing that. Ayden Knapword, heated arguments, even had a debate with a flat earther. The willful ignorance out there is extreme. Yeah, just take them on an aeroplane. Should be good. Yes, you use vanilla air freshener in your car. Not keen. Yes, there was a Datsun 120 fastback, apparently. I didn't have a soul, let alone any vehicle I own, regardless of powertrain. Sion Jones, that's a new person commenting. Thanks for commenting. Most people claiming EVs have no soul are driving around in 2-litre diesels. How much soul does one of those have? Again, it's memories, isn't it? As Alex and again Jordan backed up earlier. Noise, smells, and engine sounds do evoke powerful feelings. Every time I smell a Land Rover Defender 300 TDI, I'm transported back to my army days in Bosnia, Ireland, and Kosovo. Oh, that's scary times. I'll be honest, ever since I got the COVID jab, diesel just makes me absolutely sick. I don't know if anyone, I never used to, but literally diesel, honestly, it makes my stomach turn now. My Mini Cooper SE Sport, nice car, exactly the same as the one you test drove, Tim. Has the theatre. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Absolutely. I completely agree, Stephen. There we go. It's my dad. Followed an Alpine. Look wonderful. Yes, from Uncle Stephen. Even my Uncle Stephen, he's got a Corvette, likes NASCAR, and I think he hasn't spoken to me since I've gone all electric. No, he's not. That's not the reason. No. Auto Trader at the moment, Mercedes EQS, 150,000 miles, ex-sofa car, still 28,500. I wouldn't touch a Mercedes. I don't think they're terribly reliable, based on all the incidents in Mercedes with lots of issues with motors, much like the Audi e-trons, funnily enough. Renault Zoes often get criticised, but mine is still going strong at 115k. There we go. Evolution, Stellantis are statistically more reliable than Kia, Hyundai, and VW. Different story 15 years ago, however. I would love to dig into those stats, because yeah, I mean, Kia and Hyundai, I would argue that I would love to look at the data, what timing that was over, because arguably most of the faults with Kia and Hyundai, I believe, are the newer electric vehicles. If I'm right in thinking, is it the DC to DC that goes bad on those, from memory? And to be fair, the bearings do go in the Hyundai and the Kia SUVs electric if you don't change the oil. So that's something to be aware of, to make sure that I spotted that recently. So something to be aware of on those. So just get a Tesla. Vauxhall was the 4th most reliable brand in 2025. Driver power survey. Wow.
So that'd be three-year-old cars then. So that's isn't it? Driver power.
Those are the days. Adding amazing levels of complexity only to have soul is literally madness.
Yeah, soul's often the stuff that people take as soul is quite often essentially flaws, isn't it? But yeah.
Well, arguably, my TVR is just as TVR as any other TVR on the road, with the amount of issues we've had building the thing. So it's very TVR as far as I'm concerned. And the fact that I've vlogged it as well, I've got proof, I've got evidence. Aylen, not talking about the Ioniq 5N, but complexity is a direct challenge to developing future. Yeah. I mean, the Ioniq 5, I would say that it's more complexity in the number of buttons it's got inside, to be honest. I just get overwhelmed by that one, but there we go. Hopefully I know that we've obviously spoken about the EV elitism and the anti-EV hate, and just talking it through and just talking about the power side. And I've actually got some exciting news. I start a new job tomorrow with a company called Optimo, which is going to be in the charge management system and power market, essentially generating revenue for charging infrastructure. People who've got fleets that have got electric charging. So I'm getting deep into that tomorrow. So very excited about that. Connect through LinkedIn, Tim Aylen at the bottom there, and Alex, obviously, we're both on LinkedIn. But yeah, very excited about that tomorrow, and excited about showing you my battery health of Rusty on Wednesday. Will it be bad? Will it be good? Who knows? And like I said before, the TVR update is the following week. Alex, you got much going on this week, or was it Secret Squirrel?
I'm hoping to get the last bits of the car back. So the other week when we did so the sunroof is being painted tomorrow. The wheels are already back, having been refurbished. So I'm hoping to get that sorted this week. But I've got a few other things that are Secret Squirrel in the diary as well. But we'll see.
Good stuff. Last couple of comments. Before we went EV in 2013, I didn't notice sickening stench diesel. I had a diesel hire car before Christmas. Refilling the tank made me physically retch. The smell seemed to cling to me. Send us the data. That'd be great. Guy JD, I don't think I've seen you comment before. My missus has a Corsa E on lease. It's been back and forth to the garage with a gearbox fault. Yes, on EV. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. So that was just because of the comment that Evolution made about Vauxhall being reliable, and I'm sure Alex would probably reinforce that over the many episodes. So yeah, I'm sorry that you've had that. But last time they had it for a month. Wow, I think that's the Stellantis thing, isn't it? The repairing it isn't easy, is it? Sorry you've had that experience, Guy. Worked for big. So Aiden P. Word worked on big oil company fleets and EV charging infra. Mind if I link on LinkedIn? Yeah, go for it, mate. That'd be good. My Tesla long range with 90,000 still showing 94% battery health. Is that an LF? Oh, no, it's an NMC. That's awesome. Look at that. And he's got a Skyline. Wicked. That's the ultimate combo, family car and fun car, right? Back in the days, Bernard Looney BP was a positive trajectory. What do you think of Tesla now having license for energy? I think It's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens there, because you know what is, they're very good at disrupting the market, aren't they? So I'm sure Octopus are very much looking over their shoulder at that one. But yeah, thanks everyone for commenting. Thanks for joining in, and we'll be back next week. I'm sure Kev will be back as well. But thanks for everyone joining in, and we'll see you next week.